Hello there. Today we're going to be doing a gradient design using stippling with a cosmetic sponge. I chose blue colors, actually sea green, teal blue, and a bright navy blue. You can choose any colors that you want as long as they're complementary and they go from a fairly light to dark pattern. It actually took me a lot of trial and error to discover the stippling technique that worked the best for me. So that's what I'm going to show you today, and I hope that you like this design and get some useful information so you can create your own gradients. Gradients are one of my favorite ways to do my nails, so I hope this is useful for you. Let's go ahead and get started. First of all, start by painting your nails with a sheer sea green or mint green. In this case, I'm using Borghese's Menta, which is a sheer mint green with a very slight amount of shimmer in it. The reason I only applied one coat is because this is going to be our base upon which the blue gradients will be created. Next, you'll want to get yourself a cosmetic sponge and cut it into a small piece. Just a triangle shape works best for me. Whatever you want to cut it into is fine. I've also seen people use tiny squares. This is what you're going to use to stipple on the other polishes once your coat of mint green has dried on your fingers. It's also helpful to have a tool such as this or tweezers, basically just to allow you to hold the sponge with a tool that doesn't get in the way. If you hold it with your fingers, it's really easy to slip and smudge your polish or get your fingers dirty or something like that. Get your sponge ready and then brush the color onto the end of the sponge. Then get your nail ready and start stippling that from the top down to not quite to the bottom third. So about like that to start. Then what you'll want to do is you'll want to build up this layer maybe 2 more times. In order to get the color depth. And then in your third layer, concentrate your darker color at the top. Now, on top of this, we're going to stipple the really dark, bright blue color. So just brush it onto the sponge. Almost directly over the previous, concentrating most of your color at the top, starting there and then fading downward. Now, it looks like I've covered up that old color, but the trick that I have found that works the best and gives you the most depth in your gradient is to then go over the dark color with your medium color. So, I'm going to get my medium color, put it onto my sponge, And then I'm going to go over the middle part of the gradient one more time. And there you go. I hope the camera shows you what I mean here, but basically by going over this one after you've laid down your dark color, not only do you blend the two colors together, but you blend the line between the dark color and the medium color that is sometimes left behind when you stipple. Make one more pass on this one to put the darkest color at the very, very tip. So once again, I'm going to get a little bit of the bright color on the end, and then I'm going to just stipple that on top, right at the end of the nail. So here is the finished gradient, and as you can see, I've gotten quite a lot of color over onto my skin, so I'll need to clean that up at the end. But right now I'm going to go ahead and let these layers dry and work on the rest of my nails. Okay, when you have let the colors in your gradient dry, you have two options here. Your first option is that you can go ahead and just top coat it and your gradient is finished. But if you would like to add another layer of dimension to this design, you can use a glitter that is a complementary color. Ideally, it will be a glitter that is closest to your medium color, not your brightest color. So in this case, I have one that actually combines the two colors, the sort of mint or sea green and the sort of blue that leans toward teal. For this one, I'm just going to brush it right onto my nail rather than stippling it. And I'm going to use a very light hand, and I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm going to go about halfway down the nail. And this does not need to be neat. In fact, if it's a little bit messy, it looks a little bit better, I've found. So just using a very light hand, I'm just going to brush some glitter onto my nail, just at the tip. And that provides a little extra dimension to your gradient. Then you'll want to let that one dry and top coat. Here's a tip for stippling your nails. Since there's a lot of overage, especially when you're stippling the top part of the nail, as you get toward your darkest or brightest color, what you can do is you can tape off your nails. It looks a little funny, but if you are familiar with water marbling or have seen any of those types of tutorials, you'll know exactly what I'm doing. And basically what I do is I just take a piece of Scotch tape and I set it down on the pad of my finger right underneath the nail. Then I just pull it down around the nail, protecting the side of the nail as well. Mostly what you're trying to protect, of course, is the pad at the top. It's a little awkward to do in camera. I'm sorry if I got out of frame there. But now that I have it down on the sides, all I have to do is just crimp this part down. And then at the end, you'll just pull the tape right off after you're all done stippling. Okay, it's time to add top coat. This is thoroughly dry, and here is the final part of the magic of the gradient, because when the top coat goes on is really when you see the depth of the gradient design come through, as the top coat will help to blend all those colors together and make them really shine and stand out. Okay, and here we have one hand fully finished, top coated and all that good stuff, and I left my other hand unfinished because I wanted you to see how the one coat of mint ends up looking once the gradient is finished. You can barely see it, but it is there still. And it kind of makes a really nice fade from the mint green to the really, really bright blue. In this case, if you want to have like sort of an underwater look. So I hope that you enjoyed this and found this gradient technique useful. I hope you're able to replicate it yourself, because I think gradients are one of the prettiest things you can do with your nails. Okay, see you in the next video.